Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. Take it away, Paula.
Yeah, so um, this is very special for me that you're coming to Copenhagen because I've listened to a lot of your classes, and you have really brought so much change in my life just by listening to what you have said. And I remember just first time when I even didn't know so much about access. I heard that you were saying that if you wrote a list of what would it take to do something, and I just wrote this list of 10 things, and I forgot it and saw it like 3 months later, and there were like 15 out of 16 had come true, and there were things I thought would not happen. So
No
that was,
way.
yeah, that was just awesome.
Yeah.
And
Universe is pretty cool.
yeah, and you inspire me by the way you facilitate in such a gentle and very powerful way. So all of the what do you call, all of the change comes with ease when you facilitate really ease, joy, and glory.
Awesome.
So
Awesome. Well, that's my hope.
yes, that's so. I was just thinking, when I was a child, I was, every night I would wish, oh, I hope these things would get better. We had problems in the family. And what is really the difference from now? What are we doing different? And what is the vibration and creation? What is it that you do that is different now? Can you tell?
Like how you basically make all the things you wish for as a child like come to life. I mean,
No,
I'm not.
I was just when I was a child, I was, just using a lot of wishful thinking.
Right.
And yeah, and when I came to Access, I just saw that that's not working at all.
Right. Well, wishful thinking is such an interesting trap because um, in this reality, that's what makes you a dreamer, and that's what makes you a seeker, and that's what makes you an artist, and that's what makes you great. And it's also what ensures that your dreams never come true. So it doesn't actually work. And I see a lot of um, I see a lot of people who do a lot of thinking and dreaming and vision boards and spiritual modalities, and they're very entertaining as an end in themselves, but I don't see people's future getting better in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years time as a result of those things, because they're wonderful at the time, but it's not actually creating long, meaningful, lasting change. And so with the tools of access consciousness, they're the first thing that, and I mean, I'm a pretty young woman, and I haven't, my husband is in his 40s, and he's an access facilitator, and he's done every single modality under the sun, every single one, and he's a chiropractor too. And I've done a lot. I started when I was very young. I was obsessed with the concept of enlightenment since I was about 11 or 12, since I first heard about it. And I did all of the reading that I could on self-help books and in spiritual books and religion and the Course of Miracles. And I was reading all of those things when I was 12, 13, 14, 15, because I was like, if there's such a thing as enlightenment, which I wouldn't call it enlightenment now I would call it creating a reality beyond this reality. But that idea, and even though I didn't have the terminology at the time, the idea of creating a reality beyond this reality, of having a different life that wasn't bound by the rules of society or family or religion or school or any of the things that we think are the most important. I knew that a life beyond all of that was possible. And I knew that I started with the metaphysical books, and I started with the religions, and I started with the wishful thinking, and I started with the mantras, and I did the tarot cards, and they did bring me towards the tools of access, and I'm so grateful that they did. But they only brought me so far. And then when I learned access consciousness, learning to ask questions and to destroy and uncreate my conclusions, things started to actually form as my life, rather than me thinking about it or dreaming about it. And I always say, it's much easier in society to be a dreamer than it is to be somebody who's actually living their dreams, because it really sets you apart, and it kind of can make your friends and family uncomfortable when you're having so much more than they are. And we'll hold ourselves back more often than not. Actually, only like 1% of the time, or 1% of people won't hold themselves back. The rest will, because it's more valuable to not make other people uncomfortable with the ease and happiness of your life. So, yeah. So, that being said, I mean, I'll share some tools here in our short time together here. I'd love to give you guys as much as I can in our time together. But really, one of the things that I see as the most important is really, really, really looking at what is it going to take for me to get rid of my conclusions. Because we're conclusion machines, and we are taught to be conclusion machines, and we want to have the right answer all the time, and we want to have this way of like, I'm going to do this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and this is how I'm going to do it. This is going to be my system, my method, so I can get it right, so I can make all my plans come together, so that I know I'm not wrong, so that I know I'm adequately creating my life. And that's for me has been a tough part of access, is because I really wanted to be like that. Like, I really wanted to find the right method and know that I'm not going to get it wrong. I'm a very academic person. I devoted my time in primary school and high school and university. Like, I was totally committed and the top of my class, and really, really an intellectual. And then, when I found access, I realized I really had to work on destroying and uncreating all of those conclusions, because they really, really were holding back the magic and the peace and the kindness and like the deep reality of possibilities that I had always known was possible. So what the tool that I would use to destroy conclusions is, it's kind of funny, actually. It's kind of cute. In Access, we try to make people laugh, so this stuff isn't so harsh and intense. But it's like, what stupidity are you using to create you as the conclusion queen or king, if you're a man, you are choosing? And everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Gotta plug this computer in here. So what stupidity are you using to create the conclusion queen or king you are choosing? And everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. I can see the little puffs of smoke coming out of the tops of your heads as your conclusions are exploding. You're like, no, I have to be right. And our conclusions make us very right. It just doesn't make us very happy. So, yeah. So that's, Yvonne says, conclusion kings and queens. Exactly. So there's a much easier, a much happier, a much more peaceful future available, but you got to want it, and you got to want to be different than the people around you, because sometimes that's not easy.
Wow, That was amazing. Yeah, I learned so much. And I was also, I always learn from you. Yeah. And I love just that you use the word trap about wishful thinking, because I think that was very precise.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it really is. It really is a trap. And another thing that we do is, the more and more people that I work with using these tools, the more I find that everybody has their own personal trap, so that they'll never have consciousness. They'll never be everything that they are. And we all create different traps, but they're all among a similar line. For some, it's their husband. I can't do it because my husband would never let me. Or for some, it's, I just don't have the money and I can't create the money. Or, we have these ideas about what our traps are. And a great clearing for that is, what invention am I using to create the trap I am choosing? And everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pot and pock, shorts, boys, and beyond. So what invention, some energy there. What invention are you using to create the trap you are choosing? And everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pot and pock, shorts of boys and beyond. Because we like to think that we're trapped. When I first married my husband, I had decided he was my trap. And because I was married to him, I would never be all of me. And he's actually a lovely person, and he's an access facilitator and a 3-day body facilitator, and he helps me and changes my life and contributes to me in ways that nobody else has. But I had decided that was my trap. And so, I was given the clearing, what invention am I using to create the trap that I am choosing? And all the conflict in our relationship, after about 10 days of running that, all the conflict melted out of our relationship, and things got so much easier and so much better. Because I would, if he would, he's from New York, New Jersey, and New Yorkers are known for being hot-headed and intense and harsh, and they'll say exactly what they're thinking. And I'm from Canada, and Canadians are known for being very soft and sweet and suppressing what they would want to say. And I very much was like that. And so our two kind of cultures came crashing together, and I would always make that the reason why I couldn't create my life. And really that's an insanity. That's where I was being totally and completely insane. And so you have to really look at where you're being totally and completely insane, and be willing to change that, and be willing to destroy and then create that, and be willing to not really have a point of view about it. I mean, Dane here, who's one of the co-founders of Access, he said, I have made more mistakes in my life than most of you have made choices. And I see Dane making mistakes all the time. Or like he'll even tell a joke, and like the joke will flunk and nobody laughs at the joke. And he doesn't care. He'll tell another joke and another joke. Like, he's just willing to go and go and go and go and get it wrong and get it wrong and get it wrong. And everybody thinks he's so wonderful and so amazing, but that's because he's always willing to show up, whether he flunks it or nails it. And most of the time he's he nails it, and everybody thinks his jokes are the funniest thing on the planet. Only 1 in 100 flunk, but he doesn't care. Or to do great. He's just there to be there, and he doesn't care if he's right or if he's wrong. He just keeps on moving, and he's a real inspiration to me, because I've really had to look at where I want to get it right, where I want to facilitate people right, where I want to have the right marriage, where I want to look the right way, or any of those things. Where I don't want people to think my jokes are bad. I want everybody to think my jokes are good. And if nobody's going to laugh at my joke, I don't want to tell my joke. But that's just not the way it works. You can't do that. You can't live your life thinking that you have to have everything prepared and you have to have everything perfect before you're going to show up, because you're never going to show up then. And you're going to live and you're going to die mediocre. And that's just the reality of it. And I really had to face this fact. I really had to look at it and go, okay, I've achieved some wonderful and amazing things. And have I achieved everything I would like to achieve in this lifetime? And I was like, no, there's so much more. Okay, am I back now?
You can say it again. Yeah, now it's fine.
Okay, sorry about that. But I looked at my life and I was like, have I achieved everything that I would like to achieve? And it was like, well, I mean, obviously I have, but it was like, there was this sense that there's so much more I would like to have. And there was so much in my life that was still mediocre and wasn't the things I would like to have. And so I was like, I had this wishful thinking mentality. Like, well, eventually things will get better. And I like, not from like, oh, if I keep using the tools, but just by wishful thinking and by hope, eventually my life will get better. And I realized one day, if I don't actually keep choosing and keep using these tools, I'm going to live and die mediocre. And that's not okay with me. And I really had to realize that my wishful thinking was not going to get me where I wanted to go. There would never be a day where I had wished hard enough or hoped hard enough and everything would come to fruition. And it dawned on me, wow, I could live the rest of my life mediocre and nobody would complain. Nobody would come running after me, trying to get me to choose greater. Nobody would care. I mean, obviously I'm supposed to be mediocre anyway. I'm the only one who can be responsible for making my life great. Nobody's expecting me to be great. So it's like, I realize this is on me. Like, if I really, really want to change and I really want to have what I know is possible, I better get to work and I better use these tools and I better make really big choices and really different choices. And I better choose things that seem unchoosable or too much for me, because if I turn down those big possibilities, I'm never going to get where I want to go. And I was so grateful for that. And it kind of made me sick for a couple of days. It was almost like a purging of my wishful thinking. It like came out of my system. And I realized at that time, I have to live my life for me. And I'm the only one who's going to be able to do this for me. And nobody's going to notice if I don't do it. Nobody's going to notice, because nobody sees the life that I would like to have. Nobody's looking for the possibilities that I want to have. And everybody's concerned about their own life. You know, everybody is out living their own life, doing their own thing. Nobody's going to like dedicate their life to my life. And if they did, I'd hate them anyways, because they would be pushing me around and telling me what to do. I mean, we all hate it. Don't you guys hate it when people try to control you or try to get you to be better or try to get you to achieve your full potential? We just resent people when they do that. So that doesn't work either. So it's like, you really have to look at your life and go, okay, so am I going to live everything I can live, or am I going to live and die mediocre? Because it's very possible to do that.
Yeah, but the thing I think is that, you know, before I came to Access, I didn't know that there was I felt my life was mediocre in a lot of ways, but I didn't knew it was possible to have some of the things I wanted. And so just, you know, just an example here that I've had a difficult relation to one of my brothers all my life. And part of it was because of the constellation of my parents. But I just never been able to set it right. And we had this really, you know, had this argument and we hadn't seen each other and all things. And so I met with him. I asked, can we have a meeting? I met with him 2 days ago. And from this access perspective, there was no more right or wrong. It was not trying to make it right. It was just, I just came here to set us free. And he wrote me the nicest email I've since later. He said he was so happy we were now on terms, and it was such a relief for him. And I mean, this is 60 years of jealousy and all sorts of things. And we had the most amazing discussion about our childhood I could imagine. And that I just to express, if you are coming from, I want it right, it stops so many things.
It does.
Or afraid of making it wrong. And that's where it really came from. It was so important to get it right. And, this time I just didn't care. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I have this book that I want to show you guys. It's a small little book, and I think that everybody should have a copy of this book. It's called Projections, Expectations, Separations, Judgments, and Rejections, and it's by Gary Douglas. And my favorite chapter is chapter 2, Giving Up Being Right.
Ooh.
And this chapter was extremely hard for me to get through. I recommend that people read this chapter 10 times. And it's a short chapter. You're only in for about maybe 40 minutes if you read it thoroughly, read it clearly. So, but it's like, we really, really want to be seen, and we really, really want to be smart, and we really, really want to be, not wrong. And we think that if we are totally and irrevocably and totally wrong, that we will cease to exist. And really, I really had the point of view, if I'm wrong, I'm going to cease to exist. And it's just not the case. I am freer than I have ever been. And I see people having trouble coming out of their rightness because they really don't believe that there's more possibilities on the other side of it. So yeah, kind of a big topic to tackle in our 40-minute free Zoom, but it's like,
but there's also there's a foundation, the 4-day class that you're giving, and that's a thing to go deeper. Yeah. I think that in access consciousness, the way that access, as I see it work, also you get more conscious and you see more. Hey, actually, I'm just willing to be right there. Situations I couldn't see before, but suddenly I begin to see it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That's. Yeah.
I don't even know where my life would be without the foundation. To me, the foundation is like a prerequisite for being alive. I wouldn't want to go through life not having the tools and the foundation. And because it's such a deep dive into the tools of access consciousness. And, in your manual, you leave the 4-day class with this large manual with clearing statements on every subject you could ever want or imagine. And you leave with recordings of the entire 4 days. And you leave having learned 3 access body processes. So it's a place where you can go to put a lot of tools in your toolkit with access. And it's basically designed to erase your past and erase your points of view about your past. So it's a different possibility that's available. It's not a normal possibility. It's not a familiar possibility, but it might be the thing that you've been looking for your whole life.
Yeah, and for me, it was also beginning to create the life I had, wanting to create. And some things in Access are completely crazy, you know, the statement, you know, clearing statement of, but the thing is, it works. I mean, I'm doing things now for the first time in my life I've wanted to do all my life.
That's awesome.
Things I haven't been wanting to do for the first time in my life, and that is huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions about the class, the foundation, about wishful thinking, any of the things we've talked about? I'm happy to answer any questions you have. No? Okay. So let's run those clearing statements again. So what invention are you using to create the trap you are choosing? And everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and create it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And what stupidity are you using to create you as the conclusion queen you are choosing? Everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod and poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And what invention are you using to create you as the conclusion king you are choosing? And everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod and poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So yeah, and you know, another tool that I really like is I keep it as a little sticky note on my laptop, so I read it every day. But it's, what can I be, do, have, create, or generate today and in the future? What can I be, do, have, create, or generate today and in the future? Because part of Access is about creating your future too. It's about having a future that you really desire and that really matches the energy of you as a being. And so if you ask every day for that future to show up by asking this question, it's like the universe is constantly conspiring to bring you a greater future. And you don't even have to come up with the specifics. It's like if you just keep asking the question, the universe takes care of the specifics. The universe takes care of the details. You just have to ask. Okay? So what can you be, do, have, create, or generate today and in the future? And when you're asking questions, thank you, Yvonne.
This is Gitte. I have a comment.
Yeah.
About the energy of wishing, because I grew up with Walt Disney, and there is so lot of wishing in every of his movies. And it was first until I came to Access,
yes,
the awareness came to me that I took myself out of the creation when I was hooked up in the wishful thinking, because if that is the only thing, that could explain why it never came any further but to wishful thinking.
Yeah.
So thanks to Gary and all the tools from Access, I realized this is the human doing thing I have to play with. It's not enough to wish, because that's my viewpoint. I keep myself in a steady state. It's not alive. The energy is not alive for me when I'm wishing. I have to move with my shooting. What am I aiming for?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we all grew up, I mean, a lot of us did grow up with Walt Disney. I mean, and the thing is, it's like the other part of that is that we all think that once our prince comes, he'll see us and cherish us and put us on the back of his white horse and will tell us that we're wonderful and beautiful and that he has a place in the world for us that he's already created for us. We will get to shine and be seen in the perfect way that we've always known as possible.
Yeah, and if you can dream it, you can do it. That's actually a quote from one.
Yeah.
And I have the Gary version. If you can choose it, you can do it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's much more practical, Giddy. Yeah,
So,
and it's like, that's insane. I mean, those are all insanities, and they're sold to us from a young age so that we are powerless. It's all designed to make sure that we are powerless. And, you know, what would it take for you all to get the potency and the power that you are as a being, not as a rebel, not as a activist, not as a metaphysician, not as a feminist, none of that stuff. All of that stuff is resisting and reacting to this reality. But from the space of really, what power do you have as a being that you have been denying, that if you no longer denied it, you would have no choice but for everything you desire to come to fruition, because you weren't, I mean, we're constantly like, we're like a pressure cooker trying to keep ourselves in. And when you acknowledge the potency that you have, you're not trying to keep your potency in and hold yourself back. So yeah, Walt Disney, cute shows, good stuff, but terribly, terribly limited. And it's gaslighting is what it is. Gaslighting. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that. Cool. So we have a few more minutes. Ava is talking. Hello, Ava. You have a question, Ava?
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry. Am I not muted? Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I'll mute you. Oh, there you go. Awesome. Cool. So what else can I tell you guys? Let's do the question again. What can I be, do, have, create, or generate today and in the future? Whew, and everything you're doing to stop that, negate that, diminish that, and destroy that, will you destroy and create all of it times a godzillion? Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 podpoc shorts, boys and beyond. So, you know, I hope that you guys have the sense that you're different and realize that there is a different possibility available for you. But you have to ask the universe to contribute to you. You know, like I ask the universe, I'm like, universe, I am stupid in some areas and I need your help and I need your contribution. And every time you decide you get something right, then you tell the universe you don't need its help anymore. So that's another danger of the need to be right, is you're automatically, without even saying it, you're automatically telling the universe, I don't need your help anymore. You don't need to contribute to me. So that's one of the bigger killers of rightness. So you want to ask every day, you know, universe, how's it going? Can you please contribute to me in every area of my life? Can you please contribute to me money? Can you contribute to me with relationships? Can you contribute to me with my kids? I asked the universe for contribution with my house. And because my husband and I built a house, and I have, you know, I've rented my whole life, but this is the first time I've owned a home. And it was really different to have a big home that was brand new. It was not furnished. I mean, we had furniture, but you know, it wasn't painted. It didn't have curtains. It didn't have furniture. It didn't have landscaping. It didn't have the eavesdrops. It didn't have anything. And so for us to create it, I really employed the help of the universe. And we've been working on it constantly for 2 years. And the other day we just had a patio put on the back porch and it looked beautiful. And it was like all the work that we had put in to the whole house over 2 years and everything we had asked for from the universe. It's like, it was almost like the glass poured over, and I realized, wow, like this house is now an entity of its own, and it is creating itself, and it has its own point of view, and it has its own reality. It was sort of like sending your child off to college, to university after graduation. You know, you care for it and you give it everything that it needs, and you go to work to make the money to get the curtain rods and to get the chairs and the paint and, you know, the light fixtures and the chandeliers and the bath mats, and, you know, you keep working on it and working with the universe and asking for contribution. And then one day what you've created takes on a life force of its own and is ready to go out in the world as something different. And that was really, you know, that was really cool. And we can do that with everything, with your relationship, with your book, that, you know, if you're writing a book, with your businesses. You know, we tend to be really hard on ourselves and really hard on these different things in our life. We're really hard on money. We're really hard on our relationships. We're really hard on our business. But it's like things take a lot of energy and a lot of detail. And if you decide that any detail is too much for you, then you're destroying your life. So what if no detail was too much for you? And what if you could take care of every detail with ease? How cared for would everything in your house be? And when you're caring for your house, when you're caring for your business, you're actually caring for the universe. Like, yeah, I got a big brass candelabra, and it was very tarnished when I got it. And, you know, it's an old antique. And so I got brass cleaner, and I started cleaning it yesterday. And it was so happy. This one candlestick, like candelabra, it was like, as I was cleaning it, it was like shaking with happiness. And I just had this, you know, I had this knowing that as I was cleaning the candlestick, I was contributing to the entire universe. I was caring for something. I was making something that was tarnished and tattered, something where it didn't want to be tarnished and tattered. I was giving it what it wanted. It's the same when you run a body process on somebody's body. It's the same when you deliver a bars class. You're giving people something that they require, and you're contributing to the whole universe. So it doesn't matter what it is. It can be polishing a candelabra, it can be planting a tree, or it can be, you know, taking your partner out on a surprise date. Anything. It's like that's actually contributing to the whole universe and making the universe a brighter and greater and more conscious place. So thank you guys so much for having me. And I am so looking forward to coming to Copenhagen. I mean, really, really, really. We're going to have a wickedly cool and different 5 days. And, you know, whether you just want to take the bars or you want to take the bars in the foundation, you know, there's just so much available. And I invite repeat people as well. You know, if you've done the foundation, I mean, I've probably taken like 10, 11, 12, 13 foundation classes, and everyone's been completely different than the one before because it's based on the energy of the class and the questions that people ask. So I warmly welcome you to Copenhagen. I'm excited. I haven't been to Copenhagen in a while, so I'm excited to enjoy it again.
Thank you so much. I mean, we are so excited to have you, and I think that everybody can see how much. I mean, I already feel so much change in these 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's amazing. So I just want to thank you, and thank you all for being here.
Yeah.
What a contribution. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Really awesome. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.